Welcome, and thank you for joining us. This is the Clint Womack Real Estate and Finance Show on 860 AM, Utah's Big Talker. If you missed us last week, we were talking with Thomas Wright of Summit Sotheby's, a principal broker, and we also had Brian Rothschild, a bankruptcy attorney. Please visit us on our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/Womack Radio, where you can get links to our shows and other links to some of the other professionals that we work with. Womack is Womack. We've got a great show planned for you today. We've got Devin Pope, a financial planner with Albion Financial Group, and also Dave Curtis, a commercial developer with NC Properties. It's such a pleasure that you've tuned in with us today. Join us here every Saturday and Sunday morning to get the timely truths. We are your local advocates in Salt Lake City. We're a team of professionals committed to bringing you relevant and timely advice for finance and real estate. And we've got such a special show planned for you today. First, we'd like to bring Devin Pope on, who's a financial planner, and talk more about financial planning and bringing you a team of professionals. Devin, it's so great to have you on the show today. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Clint. It's a pleasure to be here. As Clint mentioned, I'm a financial planner with Albion Financial Group. Been in the industry for over 10 years. Certified financial planner, and also have MBA from Westminster College.
Where are you from originally?
I grew up here in the Salt Lake area. Went to Olympus High School and then on to Westminster College for my undergraduate. Moved out to California for a few years, but I was missing the mountains and some family back here in Salt Lake, so I moved back. Went to Westminster again to get a master's degree, and been here since.
So local boy. Good to have a Utah native here on the show.
It's a great place to live.
Tell me a little bit about Westminster. It's in Sugar House. What were some of the things that you liked about that?
Small, private, liberal arts school. When a lot of my friends were going to the big universities with 300 people in their classrooms, I had classrooms with 15 to 25 people, and it really kept you on key, kept you focused, and it was a really nice environment right in, the unique part of Salt Lake and the Sugar House area that brings in a really great quality education. I think you can be found there. And, I'm very passionate about snowboarding in the mountains, and so it kept me close to doing the things I love. Very
cool. What's your favorite resort for snowboarding?
Now I'm more of a weekend warrior, as I only make it up on Saturday and Sunday, but I really like solitude. There's never long lines. If it snows on a Thursday, you can make it up on a Saturday, and there's still good snow to be found. So solitude's kind of the resort I go to, but I'm open to any, and I've skied most all of them here in Utah.
Are you a sports fan at all besides snowboarding?
I do. I like football, and it's probably our primary sport I enjoy.
Do you do any weekend warrior footballing as well?
No, not so much anymore. The knees and the ankles don't hold up like they used to, but I do enjoy going and watching the Utes and the Pac-12 competition down there at the stadium. Hopefully to see some better seasons to come in the Pac-12, but it's always fun watching the games.
Yeah, did you catch any of the U of U games last year against some of the Pac-12 teams?
Yeah, I went to, I think, a few of the games. Always try to catch them on TV. It was a rough schedule for us, but we did beat BYU, so that's always a good point for the year.
Wasn't it Notre Dame that we had a come from behind win last year? I think we had a really, really good home game upset last year. It was Notre Dame or Stanford.
And they were ranked in the top, I want to say 5. And they came into our house and we beat them, which was a great victory for the Utes.
Yeah, I wasn't at that game, but I wish I would have been. I had some friends there, and they said it was a pretty awesome experience.
Amazing game, yeah.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about your family. Do you have family here?
Yeah, my mom lives here, and then I'm married, and we have a 21-month-old baby, a little girl. So and then in-laws as well throughout Utah, and then some siblings that live out of state.
getting any sleep with that 20-month-old?
She's pretty good now. Unfortunately, she's a little sick right now, but she's a great baby, sleeps well. A lot of fun, happiest parents in the world.
So you as a financial planner, what are some of the questions that frequently come up from clients or prospective clients about financial planning?
A lot of it is, driven around the market and, what do you think is going to happen with the market, where to be invested. And the market is what it is. It's going to do. You really can't control what the market is. And so what we try to focus off with financial planning is what are the variables that you can control. And, it's how much you spend, how much you can make, and more into, with those dollars that you make, where should we be putting those? Is our goal retirement? What are the different options, a Roth IRA or your 401k or maybe just a taxable account? Is education planning important? What are some different options there? And with finance, the same as real estate or other decisions. It's not black and white. There's a lot of gray, and helping navigate clients through those types of decisions is really what we try to focus on.
So you're saying there's no crystal ball out there. We don't know which way the market's going to go. We more just have to plan for the things that we can control, and that's what Devin Pope is great at. He's a great financial advisor from local guy here, went to Westminster College. If you have any questions for Devin, please call or text 801-674-9995. Text the word Devin to 801-674-9995 or call that number and I can get you in touch with Devin. Tell me, so since there's no crystal ball, do you lead your clients to certain stocks, or are you more kind of a fund, asset allocation? What's kind of your general rule of thumb or general advice for people?
Well, within our firm, we have found with over 30 years of experience that there's different ways to invest. And the main point or the main goal is to keep clients focused and on their long-term goals and stay invested. And we found that for some people, individual stocks may be the right investment tool to use. For others, it might be mutual funds. And so what our goal is to get to know the client, get to know what type of strategy is best going to work for them to reach their goals and to stay on the path. And so we find that it may not work for one client, but, stocks may work for other, or funds may work for one, or they may not work for another. So getting to know the client and using the right tools, to help them reach their goals is what we try to do.
This is the Clint Womack Real Estate and Finance Show on 860 AM, Utah's Big Talker. We've got to take a break. We're talking here with Devin Pope. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll dig more into financial planning. We've got a commercial developer coming on and also our free lunch segment. Stay with us and we'll be right back. Welcome back. This is the Clint Womack Real Estate and Finance Show on 860 AM, Utah's Big Talker. Just wanted to give a special thanks to Corey Hooker for working the boards and doing such a great job on the show. We've got Devin Pope here, financial planner with Albion Financial Group. You have a master's degree and a certification for financial planning. Tell me the difference between financial planning, financial advising, certifications and degrees. Tell me a little bit more about the certifications and the difference between different financial advisors out there.
Sure. That's a great question, Clint. And I think that there is a lot of designations when you look out in the financial industry. In my book, there's really two important ones. One's the CFP, or the Certified Financial Planner designation. This is a designation that requires you to have experience in the industries for at least 2 years. There's prerequisite courses that you have to take, and there's actually a grueling exam. It's a 2-day exam that you have to take. Once you pass, if you pass, I think that's about 60% of applicants pass, then you have to maintain continuing education going forward every other year to keep up with your certificate. So on the planning side, the CFP is the highest designation and definitely something you should be looking for if you are to hire a financial planner. On the analyst side, there's the chartered financial analysts. Peter Lynch, Warren Buffett, a lot of the big financial analysts around the U.S. and throughout the world have this designation. It's extremely hard to get. It's a 3-year process. It's almost like getting a graduate degree in financial analyst. 3-year program, very difficult. Majority of people never even pass level 2, but it is the highest designation and I think the most important designation when it comes to financial analysis.
So you're a CFP, a certified financial planner, and you said you had to work 2 years in the industry. Is that kind of like an understudy program where you work under someone?
You just have to have the experience in the industry. Just to say, you've dealt with cases, as you know, experience is very important in the industry, and it's just having some of that experience and knowledge and really working with clients is just a prerequisite to even call yourself a CFP after you pass the exam.
So where did you get your 2 years of experience?
Well, when I was out in California, I worked for a independent broker-dealer and worked doing a lot of paraplanning work, meeting with clients, setting up accounts, getting really to know the nuts and bolts of how things work in the financial industry. And it's been very helpful as I've transitioned to more of a client-facing advisor, knowing all of what is required to open up accounts, set up accounts, what are the types of accounts, how much you can fund into accounts, wages to transfer money, and all those details. So I spent my time out there, and then when I transitioned, I was able to take the CFP exam, and I had the prerequisites to call myself a CFP once I passed the exam.
So say you have someone out there that's thinking about getting a financial planner, but also thinking about maybe doing it on their own. What would you tell that person that might be trying to do it on their own?
Well, I think they can do a lot of some of the investment management on their own. Is you can go out and buy a index fund, and indexing is a very popular way to invest. But you really miss out on the value of someone who's experienced, educated, and knowledgeable, which can really help you out in making financial decisions. For instance, I recently helped a client figure out that they could be receiving extra Social Security checks per month just by having some experience, by working with other clients through some different methods where they could find out by applying for a spousal benefit to receive an extra $500, $600, $700 a month just in Social Security with really not doing anything besides going to the Social Security office. And adding those types of value, I think, are huge, especially over the long run of someone's life. And there's many financial decisions we have to make. And two minds, I think, work better than one. And having someone to shoot ideas off or ask questions about different things that is knowledgeable and experienced is very helpful.
We're talking with Devin Pope here, financial planner with Albion Financial Group, and he brings up such a good point. Devin is in this day in and day out. He knows the financial industry. He knows different products and different tricks of the trade. So if you're someone out there that might be trying to do this on their own, you might be doing a decent job, but you might also be leaving money on the table. There might be some products or little tricks out there that Devin could teach you to make even more money or to further your investment dollars. Devin Pope with Albion Financial Group. If you want to get in touch with Devin, give me a call at 801-674-9995 or text the word financial plan to 801-674-9995. So Devin, you were talking a little bit about a client of yours that was able to get some extra Social Security money. How much extra, off the top of your head, rough number was that to your client?
For one of them, it was about $500-$600 extra a month. So, not a ton of money, but that definitely helps pay some bills, especially for someone in retirement who doesn't have that income. Every extra dollar helps, and especially when you're tapping a resource such as the federal government or Social Security, where it's not like you're pulling from your own assets, it's just clicking on a button that if he wouldn't have been knowledgeable about it, he would have left that on the table for many years. And that's something he could never recover back just by being informed and making good decisions.
And that's a lifetime benefit at Social Security, right?
That's going to continue for the rest of his life. So by the time, you add it all up based on how long he lives, that value could add up to quite a large sum of money.
Yeah. You think $500 a month times 12 months.
Yeah, times
10 years or 15 years.
Yeah, or maybe even longer for them. So
starts adding up.
Yeah, it does. It does.
You don't want to leave money on the table. Tons of financial advice and financial wisdom here with Devin Pope. Do you have any other memorable clients or memorable stories from your work?
Yeah, another one was, I have a client who is a widow and her spouse worked for a company and she was given a pension. He passed away, but she still received the benefit. But the company was bought out by another one, and that company came to her and said, well, according to our buyout, we are just going to pay you out a lump sum of all your future benefits in 1 year, and this is going to be a taxable event to you. And this was a big shock for this client, as they're now going to be put in a much higher tax bracket than they've ever seen before in their life. And they don't have this steady monthly payout coming to them anymore. And so we sat down and worked through some planning ideas and how to be invested and maybe some strategies. And one of the strategies for this client that would work great is they have an ongoing charitable interest where every year they want to give to a charity of that they like, and they plan to do that regardless going forward. And what we did was we used a tool called the Donor Advised Fund, where this client was able to put in 10 years worth of charitable donations within this fund. So she covered all her contributions going forward. But she was able to write off all of that in this 1 year, in the year that she was put in one of the highest tax brackets that she's ever been in before. She saved quite a bit of money just with this strategy. She didn't get rid of it. She just said, this is my charitable fund. She saved some taxes, and it was a great strategy. And that's really what I'm in this game for, you don't find, great strategies for everyone all the time, but when you can and you can move the needle for someone, that makes me happy. That makes me want to get up and come to work in the morning.
Yeah, I personally do mortgage and real estate. And like you were just discussing, each client is a little bit different. There's not really a box that every client situation can fit into. And like Devin was discussing, he can think outside of the box and kind of tailor fit a plan to each of his clients. They're each a little bit different. And that's what I love about my job as well. Sounds like you're liking the financial planning industry.
Yeah, very much so. It's as I go back to, there's things you can control and can't control. But if you can help someone make decisions, make a series of good decisions, and you see that over your relationship with them be a benefit for them, it's great, and it's good to come to work. And the same with you. If you can help that person find that home or get the financing, you see that smile on their face, and I think it makes you happy.
And that's what this show is all about. It's about us having a team of professionals here. I try not to specialize in too many different things and be a jack of all trades. I have a team of professionals here that I like to refer business to, people that I trust, people that I know will do a great job for you. And Devin Pope is one of those professionals that I really trust. I know that he can put a plan together for you that will help you navigate the storms that'll indefinitely come up. And I know that I trust him and his firm at Albion Financial Group. Any advice for potential clients out there that you think might want to come visit you and talk about financial planning?
Yeah, come in and be forthcoming. Bring the information, ask the questions. I work with clients and sometimes, they don't ask, the questions. But think of, 5 or 10 questions to ask your advisor about different things and go out and ask them. You're paying them to manage your money and provide financial planning. And sometimes they don't know what's on your mind. But come to them and ask them questions and put them on your team of one of your financial consultants, as I like to call, and adding a good team, I think, is powerful.
So there's no crystal balls and there's no mind reading out there. You got
Clint, you might have that magic 8 ball, but we don't have it. So
you mean you don't have a magic 8 ball to tell you which stocks to pick?
If it were only that easy.
Such a pleasure to have you on the show today. Thanks, Devin, for joining us. This is the Clint Womack Real Estate and Finance Show on 860 AM, Utah's Big Talker. We've been talking with Devin Pope, financial advisor, financial planner, certified financial planner, who has the designations and is a great local professional, local financial advocate. If you want to set up a time to meet with Devin, text the word financial plan to 801-674-9995 or give me a call at 801-674-9995 and I can get you in touch with Devin Pope to get you started on that track to setting up a financial plan and setting up a great financial future. Even a little bit of planning now will go a long way, and Devin's here to help you with that plan. Thanks so much, Devin. Great to have you on the show with us today.
Thanks, Clint. My pleasure.
Next up, we've got Dave Curtis. He is a commercial developer, and he's here to talk a little bit more about the Salt Lake City market, about some of the commercial developments, and some of the other wisdom in the commercial real estate market. We're excited to have Dave Curtis on here with us today. If you missed any of our show last week or want to hear this week's recording, visit us at facebook.com/Womack Radio. Again, that's facebook.com/Womack Radio. Womack is Womack. We've got Dave Curtis coming up. We're going to take a break now, but come back and join us on the other side of the break, and we'll continue our show then.
Give me something to talk about.
Welcome back. This is the Clint Womack Real Estate and Finance Show on 860 AM, Utah's Big Talker. We've been talking with Devin Pope, financial advisor with Albion Financial Group. And now joining us is Dave Curtis, a commercial developer local here to the Salt Lake City market. Been in the real estate industry for years, a developer, a local expert. He really knows the Utah market. He knows development. And we're so thrilled to have you on the show today, Dave Curtis. Welcome to the show.
Good to be here. Thanks.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and your family and things like that.
We have 9 kids. And,
wow.
All of them live here except one in San Diego now. And we have, I've been in the real estate business since 1978, a broker, own my own company, graduated from the University of Utah in organizational communication, and have been having a lot of fun in real estate ever since.
So 9 kids and a business owner. You've got a few balls in the air.
Yeah, my wife does most of the work. I just kind of show up on stuff.
Along for the ride? She keeps you in check. That's what wives are good for.
No kidding.
Keep us in line and keep us in order. So tell me a little bit about your company and what you do here in Salt Lake City.
We are, I'm still a broker, a real estate broker. I don't broker for anyone else. I just do my own properties. Right, currently I bought a piece of property at the end of last year, 10.8 acres in Cedar City. We're going to be doing a big apartment complex, probably about 240, 250 units there. I have under contract a property in North Salt Lake, 5.3 acres. We're going to be doing 2 office buildings and 43 townhomes on that property. It's in North Salt Lake off Center Street. I also have a property that I purchased on Victory Road, which goes up to the Capitol off of Beck Street. And we're going to be putting in about 60,000 feet of office warehouse there and a mini storage unit behind there. And then also under contract a property in Bountiful on Main Street. We're going to be doing an office building, probably about a 15,000-foot office building.
So you like to stay busy.
You bet. I love it.
So tell me, with these projects that you have going on, are these projects that you buy and build and hold, or are these projects for other investors or other clients that you build?
A little bit of both. The one in Bountiful, probably own half of it. And then the one on Victory Road, the office warehouse, we will we'll keep the mini storages in the back, and we'll keep about half of the units and sell them. We're going to condominiumize those. The one in North Salt Lake, we'll keep the office buildings and we'll sell the townhomes. The one in Cedar City, haven't decided if we're going to keep it or sell it.
So you go out, you try to find great deals on land, you develop them, and then you build them out as well?
Yeah, I have a contractor that's worked for me for 11 years, Jeff Klaus with Liberty Associates. He just works on the stuff we're doing as a company, National Commercial Properties. So he works directly with our company, and he supervises all the construction. I negotiate all the contracts. I get the property. I work with the cities, which is not the most fun part. That's the worst part, especially Salt Lake City. I hate to say that, but it's true. And some of the other things, take care of all those problems, work with the banks, get the loans, and help with the construction, and watch the financing very, very close. If you're going to make it in development, you have got to watch the dollars and cents, or it'll get away from you.
Who are some of the banks that you work with for commercial financing?
Chase mostly over the last few years. I've worked with the Bank of Utah and others. Years ago, I used to work with First Security Bank. I've done some things with Zions, but right now Chase has been really good to us.
So you've got an inside guy at Chase that you have a pretty good relationship with?
Yes, and he helps us. We've done some SBA financing for people and some regular commercial financing, and they've been great to work with.
Do you have clients that come to you and say, help me find land and help me develop and build a project?
Yeah, that's what's happening in Bountiful. There's a dentist that has been renting for probably 30 years. And, of course, the money goes down the toilet when you're renting. You have nothing to show for it after that. And he's finally deciding that he wants to own his own property, have a bigger office building so he can put his company in there and then rent the rest out, and then have it as a good investment when he retires. So
would he do SBA financing on that?
Most likely. Chase has a really good program right now that is similar to SBA. The cost is way less as far as points and upfront costs, closing costs, and it's very similar. And the interest rate is either as good or better than SBA right now.
We're talking with Dave Curtis here. He's a local commercial developer. He's the owner and principal broker of National Commercial Properties. If you're a local professional that's looking to maybe have your own building or have a portion of a building and rent out the rest, I think it's well worth looking into. Like Dave was saying, he's been working with a dentist that's been renting for 30 years and basically has nothing to show for it. I mean, he's probably made great money from his practice, but after 30 years, he probably could have made a pretty good dent in a commercial property, or maybe even owned it by now.
Yeah, no, the other thing is you defer your taxes when you own property, commercial properties. You get to write off the deferment of depreciation, and you write off interest and other expenses, and it's really hard to beat. It's not all joy and happiness. I mean, there's challenges. You have to get called once in a while and show up. I owned an office building in Murray years ago, and the tenants would leave the door open every once in a while, and so I'd get a call from Murray Police. They would always check my building and call me about in the middle of the night, Dave, what do you want us to do? And I'd have to run down there. So, it's not all joy, but it's mostly good.
Like any investment, there's always some downsides to it, and the toilets that need to be changed and clogged drains and things like that. But I think overall, what would you say someone thinking about maybe a residential fourplex or someone thinking about commercial, what would be the differences in the investments and your kind of pros and cons for each of those?
I would say start really small and be real careful at first. Location is always very important in real estate, always, anywhere, anything you do. But location is really important, and just do your due diligence. Whenever you make an offer on a property, you need to take the time to look at things really closely. Don't believe anything you hear from any of the city bureaucrats you're going to be working with planning and zoning and stuff, they will tell you things that they can't deliver sometimes. So you need to do your research. You need to get enough time on those properties that you can do the research and make sure you have a firm commitment to do certain things. I had a friend that bought a piece of property up by the Capitol that was zoned for 24 units. The planning and zoning and the city officials decided they were going to downzone that whole area. They downzoned it to a fourplex, or no, actually a duplex.
Wow.
So he had a 24 unit he could put on there. They changed it to a duplex, and he was stuck with that property. If he had done some more homework and looked into that, he would have found that that's what they were deciding to do, to downzone that area. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. You need to do your research and take the time to do it before you jump in.
One of the keys of this show is building up a team, and I'm sure you as a professional have a team. I'm sure you have a good title guy that you work with to help you do some research. You have a team of people that can help you research with the city on potential zoning and other issues that might come up. And this isn't something that we do on our own. And that's one of the key points of the show, is to help you build up a team of professionals for whatever financial or real estate venture you want to go into. We're here to help you build up the right team that can help you succeed in your venture. Am I right? Do you have a team of people that you work with that help you do the due diligence on this?
Oh, yeah. We just finished a 35-unit townhome project that we just sold out of. We sold it in 2 months, 35 of these units.
Nice.
Really a good price. But we have title companies that know what they're doing. We have lenders that are really good. Rand Life has been excellent with these residential people. They speak Spanish and English, and it just helps. And it saves me. If I go through a lender that has not worked on the project, I will spend probably 25 to 30 hours of my time for each closing. If I go through Rand Life, I spend 2 to 3 hours. If we go through our title company that we use Title Guarantee and Magellan Title. When I use those two companies, they're both really good. They're both great. And I just have less problems. It makes my life a lot easier.
That's what we're about. We want to make life easier. Why make things difficult and beat our heads against the wall if we don't need to? We've got Dave Curtis here, local commercial developer, local real estate expert. He's imparting some of his wisdom. I feel very fortunate to have him here on the show with us. This is the Clint Womack Real Estate and Finance Show. We're talking with Dave Curtis. If you have any questions for Dave, or if you want to set up a time with him to talk about a possible commercial development, text the words Dave Curtis to 801-674-9995, or give me a call at 801-674-9995, and I'll get you in touch with Dave Curtis, who can help you set up a plan and help you see if a commercial development might be right for you. This is the Clint Womack Real Estate and Finance Show on 860 AM, Utah's Big Talker. We've got to take a break. Please stay with us. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Dave Curtis. We'll have our free lunch segment and our open house segment. Stay with us, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. This is the Clint Womack Real Estate and Finance Show on 860 AM, Utah's Big Talker. We're talking now with Dave Curtis, a local commercial developer, local real estate expert. Dave, before we leave today, tell us about some of your work experiences being a commercial developer for so many years.
I'll tell you a couple of funny stories. I owned a big apartment complex in Atlanta, Georgia years ago, and my manager called me one day, and there's two stories there, but she called me one day and said one of our tenants got hauled off by the police. This was a big complex, so you have things happen once in a while. And I said, what happened? Was he selling drugs? What was the deal? And she said, no. He was, one of the tenants walked by the kitchen window, the blinds were open, looked in, and there was bomb paraphernalia on the kitchen sink. So the cops came, opened it up, and he was building bombs in the middle of our complex. So
And he had his blinds open while he was doing it?
they were barely open. and luckily that tenant was paying attention. Anyway.
Jeez, probably an angel maybe cracking the blinds open before the complex got blown up.
That was crazy. And then I bought a property from this very large syndicator who owned property all over the country, apartment complexes. This was years ago. And this was in Houston, Texas. And so we're sitting down at the closing table, and the attorneys were taking forever to get the paperwork done. And so we were exchanging war stories. Anyway, he told me one of the funniest ones he ever had was a property they owned. And they had this tenant that was the best tenant ever, paid his rent early. They never had any problem. He stayed to himself. He left the door shut and locked, and the windows were always drawn. They could never had any complaints about music, anything. So anyway, one day they had a leak from a apartment up above that they had to get into his apartment to save as much as they could. They go in there and they hear this weird sound in the bedroom. They go in there and there's a horse. The man had a horse in his apartment, and he had cut a hole in the wall so that the horse could walk around through his apartment. And anyway,
that gives a new definition to horse property right there.
The zoning wasn't proper, of course, for that, but it was so funny. One other quick one, but I was building a restaurant in Ogden, and so we had an open house, or a grand opening, scheduled for Saturday, and these people had put all this money into advertising. I won't mention the name of the restaurants. There were two big ones. And so we had to put the sign out there the day before the opening. And Utah Power at the time, which is now Rocky Mountain Power, had their lines right in the way of this sign, and they were to come and move it. Well, the foreman had just put me off all the time and kept hassling me. And finally, I called him the day before, and I said, now you got to come to tomorrow because we got the sign going in the next day. He said, no, I can't get to it for 2 weeks. I said, you promised me. He said, I can't get to it for 2 weeks. I said, I was very upset. So I get on the phone with Utah Power, and I talked to the secretary that was very nice. And I said, would you please give me the number of the top person for Utah Power? And she said, how about the one that's over the whole region, 5 states? I said, that'd be good. She gave me his cell phone number. I call him, and he's in between driving on the freeway. And he said, Mr. Curtis, where are you going to be in about 5 minutes? I said, I'll be right here. This is critical. I told him the story. So he calls me back in 5 minutes and said, Mr. Curtis, where are you? And I said, I'm inside the restaurant. He said, look out the window. I look out the window. And he said, what do you see? And I said, a Utah Power truck moving the power poles. He said, it's funny, their schedule freed up.
Helps to know people in the right place, I guess.
Or call the right people, or have a nice secretary.
Jeez. It's amazing how things can happen when there's a little motivation there. So great to have you on the show, Dave Curtis. Thank you for your input and your advice on commercial development and just real estate in general. A local professional that you can trust. Again, if you want to get in touch with Dave Curtis, text the word commercial to 801-674-9995 or call the same number and I can get you in touch with Dave Curtis to set up a plan. We're going to go into our open house segment right now. We've got 6 open houses for you, a few on Saturday and a few on Sunday. Our first open house is in Salt Lake City at 2209 South, 500 East in the Wilmington subdivision. It's listed for $219,900, listed by Blakemore Real Estate. That home is open on Saturday, March 29th from 11 to 2. Our next open house is at 738 Gudgell Court. That's Gudgell, and that's in Salt Lake City as well. That property is listed for $210,000 by Realty Path, and that home is open on Saturday, March 29th from 11 to 12:30. Another open house that we've got for you is at 830 East 6th Avenue, Unit 3. That's in the Royal Crest subdivision, listed for $175,000, listed by Windermere Real Estate, open on Saturday, March 29th from 10 to 2. I'm always here for you. If you'd like to go out and see some open houses or like more information, I can set up a time with you to go and see these houses and answer any questions that you might have. If you want to set up a time, please text the words open house to 801-674-9995 or give me a call at 801-674-9995, and we can set up a time to go and answer your questions, go and help you find a home. If you're looking to buy a bigger home or downsize or looking for an investment property, I'm here for you to answer any questions that you have. Now is time for our free lunch segment. We've got a free lunch today at Cafe Rio. If you are from Utah or live in Utah and haven't been to Cafe Rio, you need to go. Their food is amazing. I eat there regularly. If you, they also have a little membership card. If you buy 10 meals, you can get one free. I like the pork burritos, the pork salad. You've got to get it smothered. It's the best way to go. Cafe Rio, we've got a free lunch for you. Text the words free lunch to 801-674-9995. Again, free lunch to 801-674-9995. We'll hook you up with a free lunch to Cafe Rio. We're going to finish up with another few open houses and then a tip of the day. The other open houses, we've got another one that's at 3087 South, 3380 East. That's in Salt Lake City and Canyon Rim. That is listed for $309,900, listed by Realty Brokers. That home is open on Saturday, March 29th from 11:30 to 3:30. Just swing on by. We've got another open house here at 2845 East Apple Blossom Lane in Holiday. Very nice house, listed for $585,000 by Home and Family Realty. That home is open on Saturday, March 29th from 11 to 3. And our last open house for today is at 951 West Signora in Salt Lake City, listed for $204,900, listed by Realty Brokers Preference, open on Sunday, March 30th from 1 to 3. Again, if you want any more information on any of those listings or you'd like someone to answer questions or walk you through, I'm here for you. Text the words open house to 801-674-9995. I wanted to share a story today about a friend of mine. The story regards identity theft. And if you have had any issues with identity theft or you haven't, I strongly recommend that you get a plan in place for identity theft. According to the Federal Trade Commission, identity theft has been the number one consumer complaint for the past 14 years. Identity theft is basically when someone gets a hold of your valuable information, social security number, driver's license, things like that, and they start to open up accounts and do things with your credit that you're unaware about. I had a friend that I was at lunch with the other day, and he told me about his story with identity theft. Somehow his identity got stolen. The thieves that took his information opened up, I think, over $100,000 of accounts. He was just getting newly married. He met with some attorneys after he discovered the $100,000 on his credit. And the attorney said, you can probably win this, but it's going to cost probably more than $100,000 and might take a couple years to get cleared up. And the legal fees are probably not worth it. So here's a guy who had $50,000 in savings, newly married, thought he was in a good position, and ended up having to file bankruptcy right after he got married due to this identity theft. It's a real problem out there. If you want to help, if you want a plan in place like a credit monitoring system or something to help you monitor and keep your identity intact, I can help you with that. Text the words ID theft to 801-674-9995. I have a couple of different providers that I can refer you to that are really great at identity monitoring and identity restoration. If, God forbid, any of that should happen to you, I just felt so much for my friend and really felt for him. A newly married guy having to file bankruptcy and start his marriage kind of in a bad position, and it really affected him for a couple of years coming out of that and working through it. Again, the whole purpose of this show is we're here for you. We're your professionals, your local advocates. We want to be your team, your go-to people that you can come and seek advice from and help develop a financial plan and get in a better position with your real estate and finances. This is the Clint Womack Real Estate and Finance Show. Thank you so much for listening in. Please tell your friends and family to join and listen into the show. If you have any questions, visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/Womack Radio or text 801-674-9995. For more information, you can just text the word radio show or questions and we'll get back to you. Thanks again for joining us. We've got a special show planned next week for you. Tune in next week on 860 AM, Utah's Big Talker.